Hi, this is Paige coming to you. It's not really a review, it's more of an update talking about a few things that caught my interest in the past week. Point number one. This time, instead of my kid being sick, it was my husband, which is why the Walking Dead review isn't out yet. Sorry about that, but he has been pretty much down for the past week and a half. He got the Avengers one out, and for those of you who haven't seen it, that's because it's filed under pets and animals. This is how out of it this guy was. And on the child note, he will be getting his tonsils out, so don't expect any sort of set schedule in the next couple of months until everything is taken care of, my husband is better, and my son has recuperated. Moving on to point number two. I was so bored today at work, I watched the Breaking Dawn Part 2 trailer. And they did a good job putting it together. So congrats to whoever put the trailer together, you actually made it seem interesting. The problem was that Kristen Stewart did the voiceover and she has no vocal inflection to go with her lack of facial expression. Seriously, in this trailer, she is talking to the little girl. For those of you who have seen the trailer or read the book or even seen the movie, you will know what I'm talking about. She's talking to the little girl. She says, "I will never let them hurt you." Exactly like that. They're being hunted by vampires who want to kill them. I mean, that comes across even in the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything there. Most parents would at least sound a little bit stressed out. Point though, they did get a really pretty little girl to play the little girl. She's a cute kid. Point number three. A few days ago, I saw the Iron Man 3 trailer, which was totally better. I'm so psyched. I am actually going to the theater for the first time in, I don't even know how long, to see this movie. I am going with my friend Callie. My husband is very jealous.
Yes. She won't go to watch a movie with me, but she will with one of her friends.
Yeah, pretty much. Point number, I think I'm on number 3. Oh, no, I'm moving on to number 4. Thank you. Sorry, it was a really long day today. There are more Marvel movies slated to come out. In fact, the next Thor movie, which I believe is called Thor: The Dark World, is due out in November of next year. Also, totally psyched! And not just because Chris Hemsworth is hot, but because I really liked that movie. I like the characters, so yay! Captain America 2, or Captain America and the Winter Warrior, is slated out in 2014. Don't know much about that one. Not as psyched. I'm kind of psyched about Thor 2 because, hey, Loki's in it again. Yay! I get the hotness and the evilness. It's like the perfect movie. Also, the Avengers 2 is slated to come out in 2015, which makes me impatient. Not as excited about that one because there's like no information on it yet, but they have to get all the other movies out to build the groundwork. The interesting thing about the Iron Man 3 trailer that I noticed, to skip back to point number 3, Tony apparently has a nervous breakdown. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You get to see Stark completely out of his element, apparently, and freaking out. It's kind of cool. Kind of get to see more of a human aspect instead of just arrogant Tony Stark.
For those Marvel nerds of you out there, the one thing I'm actually really excited about Iron Man 3 is that it's been said that it is going to follow the Extremis comic storyline. Not verbatim, but it's still going to follow that storyline, and that is exciting. Because that brings us into the darker side of Tony's world.
I have no idea what that is. I don't read the comics anymore. I pretty much stopped reading the comics in like 1990, which I'm pretty sure is when my uncle stopped buying them. He decided, hey, I'm 40. It's time to stop reading comic books. Except he still reads them. He just doesn't buy them. Okay, moving on to point number 5. There is a new James Bond movie out. This is a franchise that will never die. The new Bond is Daniel Craig. I guess he's not new. He's been in 2 other Bond movies. But he's new to me because I was still like, what happened to Pierce Brosnan? Oops. Apparently he's really, really good at being James Bond. I never heard of him until he did, I believe it was Quantum of Solace, I think is the one, or Quantum Solace, or whatever it was called, I think is the last one. But, a lot of people are really, really excited about this, and I'm like, why? I don't understand the whole Bond thing. I am not a huge fan of spy movies, so I don't really understand this. So if you could help me comprehend, speaking as somebody who hasn't watched a Bond movie since Connery was Bond. Just saying. Point number 6, The Hobbit. I was really, really revved about this movie when I heard it was coming out. And then I looked at the cast list on IMDb and I got really confused. Why is Elijah Wood in The Hobbit? Frodo wasn't in The Hobbit. Frodo wasn't even born yet. I mean, I realize, if you go by the books, when Bilbo turns 111, Frodo's like 50. But, still, I mean, Frodo would have been a little kid. What the hell is he doing in The Hobbit? Especially as Elijah Wood. And then I think he's been taken off now, but Orlando Bloom was in it as Legolas, who is never even mentioned. His dad is, you run into his dad, but he is never even mentioned. His name is never in print. Something to think about. And another little thing that confused me, we jumped from 2 movies of The Hobbit to 3 movies for The Hobbit. I don't really understand what is happening there. I am very confused. So, I hope you know what's going on, because I don't have a clue.
I think they're trying to pull off a Star Wars kind of thing.
Oh, prequels! Did we see how well that went in The Phantom Menace? Just saying. Point number 7, which is the rumored, thank God, Snow White and the Huntsman 2. I know, I am sitting here cringing at the thought of there being another one. It is rumored to have Kristen Stewart, Charlize Theron, and Chris Hemsworth. Obviously. Charlize Theron I don't have a problem with. She was awesome. Chris Hemsworth I don't have a problem with. Kristen Stewart I have a problem with, and you all know this. Why would you prolong that pain? Well, and then I heard another rumor that it was just going to be the Huntsman, and Kristen Stewart wasn't going to be in it. It was still going to have Charlize Theron, I believe, according to this rumor, but not Kristen Stewart. I'm like, hey, it might be watchable. So, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that just because I'm really curious now. And point number 8. For those of you who are unaware, there is a Walking Dead video game. From what I've seen, I have not actually played it, but I have watched my husband play it, and it seems very well written, very well thought out. There are numerous outcomes, and it's very interesting. It follows along a different storyline in the same universe, and it just, I don't know, it seems very fascinating to me.
And there are lots of tie-ins to the show as well.
You see Glenn. And since Glenn is like my favorite character off of The Walking Dead, Glenn and Daryl. I really like Daryl. I didn't like him in season 1, but in season 2, Daryl actually crept into number 2 standing for me. Which I wasn't expecting. You look at Daryl and you think, oh, heck.
Also, as a note, in the game, you do meet Herschel, but in the show, they took more of a liberty with Herschel. In the game, he is somewhat different. He more follows the comic, which all this was based off of anyway.
I
And
felt pretty proud of myself for knowing there was a video game. Not big on video games.
I haven't read the comic yet, but from what I've heard, it's really good, and that's why the show and the game have come about. And I'm glad that Telltale Games actually is doing this, because they're really good at story games.
Which is more likely to interest me anyway, because I need to have a story to be intrigued by anything. Okay, lie. Because the only video games I play, 2 of them are made by PopCap, so they're puzzle games. One is Bookworm, the other is Bejeweled. The other one is a PlayStation 2 game, and it's Pac-Man World 2.
And the other cool thing about... Well, I'll leave that for my review. But basically, your decisions impact the game.
Yes, and he will be doing a review of the Walking Dead video game. Our next review is the television review for The Walking Dead that will hopefully be posted tomorrow. Our next movie review is Thor. And after that, we have another television review for Doctor Who, but only the first season. Or series, if we're being British. Because the first series is the only one that stars Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. After that, he was replaced by David Tennant. David Tennant will be getting... His series will be getting their own separate review. We're not going by, individual series like this 13 episodes and this 13 episodes. We are going by doctors. So, I think that is pretty much everything I had to say today. Anything else from you, honey?
Nope.
Alright.
Oh,
He lied.
actually, yes. Before some of these get out, I am doing a review on a water filter for the fish tank. And I will be updating you guys as to the condition of the fish tank too. Our new tenants.
And another thing, if you have any particular movie or television show you would like to see reviewed, just let us know. If we haven't seen it, we will attempt to. But if we think it sucks, we probably won't last through it very long. But I don't really think all that much sucks. I can usually find something good to say about just about anything. I found something good to say about Snow White and the Huntsman. So, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.